In the town of Umuala lived Obiese, a poor drummer with nothing but his cracked handmade drum and his soul full of rhythm. The villagers often said, "This boy doesn't play his drum. He speaks with it." Every morning before the sun stretched its arms, Obiese would sit outside the market gate and play his talking drum named Ugo. He wasn't begging. He was expressing himself. His beats told stories of sorrow, longing, hope, and joy, things he never dared to say out loud. He had no parents, no family, just the music in his chest and the calluses on his fingers. Far across town, inside the grand palace walls, lived Princess Esinati. She was beautiful, smart, and very proud. She had everything: servants, jewels, silk dresses from faraway lands. But still, something about her always seemed angry. She spoke with pride, looked down on maids, and never greeted the poor. Her footsteps echoed like warnings, and even palace guards lowered their gaze when she passed. Esinati was known for her beauty as well as her sharp tongue, but fate was watching. One day, during the town's New Yam festival, the king, Igwe Obika, had asked Esinati to ride out and wave to the villagers. "They need to see your face," he said. "You are their princess." Esinati didn't like it. She rolled her eyes, but obeyed. She rode through the town square, seated high on her white horse, tossing empty smiles to some, and to others, she just waved without smiling. That was when she heard it. A strange beat floated through the crowd, soft, slow, and filled with something she couldn't name. Her eyes followed the sound until they landed on a young man, barefoot and focused, playing a worn drum beside a vegetable stall. The rhythm made her heart pause. That night, thunder rolled and winds circled the palace. By morning, Esinati had lost her voice. Just like that. She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came. Panic spread. The king called priests, healers, and herbalists. Nothing worked. One day, an old woman named Mama Ude, known for helping difficult birds, came to the palace. She looked Esinati in the eyes and said calmly, "Her voice is not lost. The tongue is tied by pride. Only a heart that listens can loosen it." The king didn't understand. "What you mean, Mama?" Mama Ude smiled. "Let her listen to someone who speaks without words, a drummer, one whose soul is louder than his voice. Let him play for her. If she listens, maybe her voice will return." 3 days later, a royal guard knocked on Obiese's door. The king summons you to the palace. You will play for the princess." Obiese was stunned. His heart raced. Why him? Why now? Still, he washed, wore his cleanest shirt, and carried Ugo like a baby in his arms. The palace gates opened for him, for the first time in his life. Esinati sat beneath the flame tree, her face quiet. The king nodded, and Obiese sat across from her. He didn't speak. He just closed his eyes and began to play. His beats told a story of a girl with a locked voice and a boy with a full heart. As the rhythm built, Esinati's eyes filled with tears. She pressed her hand to her chest. Something inside her had cracked open. The king watched in silence, then said, "Come again, every 3 days." And so he did. Over time, something strange began to happen. Esinati changed. She started helping her maids fold clothes. She picked flowers and handed them to children outside the palace gates. One day, she knelt beside an old woman at the village well and helped her lift a heavy pot. She even smiled, real smiles, not the empty ones. When Obiese saw this, his heart moved. He didn't fall for the old Esinati, the proud one. He fell for the new Esinati, the one who bowed her head, helped others, and sat under a tree to listen without speaking. One evening after he played, Obize sat quietly beside her and asked, "Why did you change?" She wrote in her notebook, then passed it to him. "When you lost your voice, no one could hear you, but I lost mine and finally heard the world." Their friendship grew. She began learning to drum, copying his rhythms. They could sit for hours under the flame tree, talking only with their hands. It became their secret language. But not everyone was happy. Palace officials whispered, "A common drummer with a princess?" The queen pulled the king aside. "People are talking," she said. "Let them talk," the king replied. "My daughter is alive again." Still, envy lurked. One morning, Obieze found his drum destroyed, the strings cut, the skin slashed. He held it in his hands and wept like a child. He stopped coming to the palace. For days, Esinachi waited. Her hands twitched to play. Her chest ached with silence. On the fifth day, she stormed into the throne room and dropped to her knees in front of her father. She pointed to her heart. Tears streamed down her face. The king called for Obieze. "Why did you stop coming?" the king asked. "My drum was destroyed," Obieze whispered. Esinachi, having heard what happened to Obieze's drum, ran to him. Without a word, she pulled a small drum from behind her back, brand new, handmade, and placed it in his arms. She had made it for him. She looked into his eyes and tapped her chest with her hand, then beat gently on her own drum. A slow rhythm, the first rhythm he had ever played for her. Then something happened. The air changed. The flame tree leaves shivered. A gust of warm wind swept through the hall. Esinachi gasped, and from her mouth came a sound. "Obieze," she whispered. Everyone froze. Her voice was back. Not loud, not perfect, but real. The curse had broken, not by herbs, not by magic, but by love, by humility, by forgiveness. Weeks later, under that same tree, Obieze knelt before her. "You were once a princess with a voice that hurt. Now you're a woman whose silence healed. I love you, Esinachi, not because you speak, but because you listened." The king blessed their union. The village danced that day. And as Obieze played his drum and Esinachi tapped hers, the people said, "Some love stories aren't sung. They are beaten into the heart." Moral of the story: the loudest love is sometimes the quietest. Humility can unlock what pride destroys. If you felt this story deep in your chest, just like Obieze's drum, please subscribe, like, and share. Let the rhythm of good stories never stop. The end.